All right, so you're thinking about jumping into the incredible Texas real estate market? Well, you've come to the right place. We're about to break down the entire process for you, step by step. Think of this as your official roadmap to a brand new career.
So are you ready to make it happen? Because by the end of this, you're going to have the complete blueprint, all based on the official rules from the Texas Real Estate Commission. Let's dig in.
We've laid it all out in 5 simple sections. First, what the career is all about. Then, the 3 main steps to getting licensed, the requirements, the application and exam, and finding a sponsor. And we'll wrap up with some key rules you'll need to know to stay on the right track. First things first, let's talk about the goal here. What does it actually mean to be a real estate sales agent in Texas?
Okay, so according to the Texas Real Estate Commission, that's TREC, and you'll get to know that name very well, a sales agent is licensed to work for a real estate broker. Now, that's the key takeaway here. You don't just go out on your own. You have to be sponsored by a broker to do any kind of real estate business.
All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty. Step 1. These are the absolute must-haves, the foundation you've got to build before you can even fill out an application.
The basic qualifications are pretty straightforward. You've got to be at least 18, a U.S. citizen, or a lawfully admitted alien, and you have to meet TREC's standards for character. You know, honesty, integrity. If you're worried about anything in your past, TREC actually has a fitness determination form you can fill out before spending any money on courses, which is pretty handy.
And now for the big one, your education. The number you need to burn into your brain is 180. Yep, 180 hours of qualifying real estate courses. That's your ticket to even sit for the exam. Now, 180 hours might sound like a lot, but check this out. It's broken down into 6 different 30-hour classes, so it's much more manageable than it sounds. You'll cover everything from real estate principles and contract law to agency and finance. This is where you build all your core knowledge.
So once you've got all that education under your belt, you're ready for step 2. This is where you make things official with TREC and, prove you know your stuff.
The process from here is super clear. First, you apply online and pay your fee. Next, you go get fingerprinted for the background check. And finally, you schedule your exam with Pearson VUE and, of course, pass it. Oh, and a really important thing to remember, once you apply, the clock starts ticking. You have exactly 1 year to get all this done.
Now hang on. This is a huge point that trips people up. You pass the exam, awesome. But TREC issues you an inactive license. See that word? It means you are not legal to practice real estate yet. There's one more really important step.
And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. Step 3, finding that sponsoring broker. This is the person who's going to activate your license and get you into the game. Remember how we said an agent works for a broker? Well, here it is. Your sponsoring broker is legally on the hook for your professional actions. You literally cannot do any real estate business unless you're working under their sponsorship. It's that simple.
And this is a big one, folks. It's written right into the law. Any money, any commission you earn has to be paid to your broker first. Then your broker pays you. You can never, ever take money directly from a client.
So you did it. You're licensed, you have a sponsor, you're active. That's amazing. But the work's not done. Now it's time to talk about what you need to do every day to keep that license. Okay, so this final section is all about the rules of the road. These are the TREC regulations you're going to live by to build a successful and, more importantly, a compliant career. Rule number 1 is all about transparency. This form, the IABS, explains to people how real estate representation works in Texas. You have to give it to any potential client the very first time you have a real conversation about a specific property. It just makes sure everyone's on the same page from the get-go. Let's talk about names, because this can get confusing. An assumed business name, or a DBA, is basically a nickname for the whole brokerage. A team name, on the other hand, is for a group of agents inside that brokerage. The key difference, a team name has to end with team or group. And for both, your broker is the one who has to register them with TREC. When it comes to advertising, the public needs to know who they're dealing with. So every ad has to have your name, or your team name, and the broker's name. And here's a fun fact. The broker's name has to be at least half the size of the biggest piece of contact info on the ad. It's all about making it clear that the broker is ultimately in charge. So what happens if your brokerage represents both the buyer and the seller in the same deal? Well, in Texas, that's not called dual agency. Instead, the broker acts as an intermediary, kind of like a neutral referee. But this can only happen if both the buyer and seller agree to it in writing.
And let's wrap up the rules with the most important one about your money. And this is straight from the law itself. You get paid by your broker, period. All compensation flows through the broker you are with when you earn that commission. It's a non-negotiable rule.
So let's just quickly run through it one more time. You meet the qualifications, knock out your 180 hours of education, you apply, get fingerprinted, and pass that exam. Then you find a sponsoring broker to make your license active, and from that day on, you follow the rules. See? It's a totally doable path.
Honestly, think of everything we just covered as your personal roadmap. If you follow these steps and understand these rules, you're not just setting yourself up to get a license, you're building the foundation for a long, successful, and trustworthy career.
The path is clear, and the opportunity here in Texas is absolutely massive. So really, there's only one question left. What are you waiting for? Go for it.